Okay, here's the second video on feedback mechanisms, answering some of the questions about response to internal and external environments. Response to change. Organisms respond to changes in their external environment. So there are many different types of situations in which organisms are going to need to respond to things that are occurring in their external environment. Some that we're going to cover right now are photoperiodism, phototropism, hibernation, taxis and kinesis in animals, chemotaxis, circadian rhythm, and shivering and sweating, which we have already covered a bit. So here's our first one, which is phototropism. Some of you may have actually seen this occur before, but tropisms are physical responses to external stimuli. Positive tropisms move toward the stimulus, while negative move away. So phototropism is a plant's physical response to light sources that actually allows the plant to grow towards sunlight to use for photosynthesis. So how does a plant do this? In the plant, there's a hormone called auxin, and the plant will produce more of that near the tip of the plant. When light's detected, auxin is produced on the side away from the source, and that allows those cells to elongate, which allows the plant to move towards the sunlight. Once again, that is phototropism. Now, photoperiodism is basically allowing plants to respond to the amount of light for when they are flowering. So when plants flower, that allows them obviously to reproduce. So that's the importance of this. So how do plants actually respond to the light? They respond to light through the use of a phytochrome, which is what's absorbing that red light. Now, there are actually technically three types of plants. There's long day plants, short day plants, and then there's actually neutral ones as well. But long day plants are going to require as it sounds, a longer day than night, essentially, in order for them to flower. So in this situation, that phytochrome is going to actually act as a promoter for flowering because the night is shorter. Now, on the other hand, in short day plants, where the period of light is shorter than the nighttime, it's going to act as an inhibitor. Now, this is important because it allows plants to flower at different times based off of the amount of light or darkness that they're being exposed to. Hibernation is obviously a state of inactivity and lowered metabolic levels. It's an adaptation developed by many animals in order to conserve energy in times of food or water scarcity. So that's why you often see that during the winter time. During hibernation, body temperature falls, breathing slows, and heart rate slows. Metabolism is low. It's a survival mechanism. So far we've looked at photoperiodism, phototropism, hibernation, all as responses to external environments. Migration is the seasonal movement of populations from one region to another. Most migrate in order to find food, living conditions, and others migrate to breed. For example, sea turtles migrate yearly to lay eggs on beaches, and brown bats live in trees during warm months and migrate to caves when it gets colder. Okay, so these ones are pretty interesting. This is taxis, is the movement or orientation towards or away from stimulus. We'll look at chemotaxis, which is a response to chemicals in the environment, and phototaxis, which is looking at light. Anytime you see that word photo, we're always talking about light. So to start off, planaria are a type of flatworm that live in lakes and ponds, and they actually exhibit two kinds of taxis, which are positive chemotaxis and negative. Positive chemotaxis, when they sense food via chemoreceptors and move towards it, and negative is when they detect light, they move away from it. Kinesis is the movement in response to non-directional stimulus, such as humidity or light. Rate of movement is dependent on the intensity of the stimulus rather than location. So for example, isopods are terrestrial and can be used to study kinesis as they live in damp places and need humidity. You may have done a lab about this before, and we'll do a lab that sort of involves this at the end of the year. And you can actually incorporate this idea into your lab if you wish. So when placed in damp environments, they'll move slowly. But when they're placed in dry environments, they move much quicker to increase the chances that they'll find a damp area because they obviously prefer that. Bacteria also exhibit chemotaxis by using their flagella, which is the kind of like that little tail-looking thing on the outside of the bacteria to move. They swim towards nutrients and food in the environment and move away from toxins. Here are bacteria in a sugar crystal, so you can see them all moving towards that sugar crystal. Circadian rhythm is a 24-hour cycle and physiological process that can be observed in plants and animals. It's internally regulated but can be modified by external cues such as light and temperature. So this is basically how we function, how our bodies know what to do during certain times. This is also part of the reason why you wake up in the morning and how you know to go to sleep at night. The body clock tells our bodies when to sleep, rise, and eat, regulating many internal processes. Exposure to light or lack of unexpected times can affect the clock's timing. That's why we have jet lag. And for anyone that's kind of woken up on your own, or you wake up right before your alarm clock goes off, that's part of your circadian rhythm. We talked about this in the last video as well, but we also shiver and sweat due to changes in temperature. Here are more links if you wish to watch or look at more. But just kind of going back here to this initial list. There we go. So all of these are just examples that we need to understand, just very general. What is photoperiodism, phototropism, hibernation? Would you be able to just explain a general what these are and how it's an example of organisms responding to changes in their environment? And that's pretty much it for this one.